Hi, everybody. Welcome to the PokeBeach.com podcast. My name is John. I go by Water Pokemon Master on the website. And I am joined, as always, by my wonderful friend...
Justin Basil of JustinBasil.com.
Oh, there's a FedEx driver outside. He's bringing my new laptop battery. So we hung out at NAIC last weekend, and I had an absolute blast. We played in your tournament, your Eternal format.
Yes,
which is
we did.
It's unlimited format, which is basically you can use any card, but there are restrictions. I don't know what those restrictions are.
There's a ban list.
I don't know what the ban list is because you just gave me a Dragapult deck, so I just played it, and... it was fun.
Yeah, you came in second place in the tournament you placed in with that deck. I would like to point out.
I don't know why.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know how. I had to like read everybody's cards and like see what everything does.
You did.
It's funny because like I always see the card translations. You know, I'm one of the first people who sees them, but I don't always remember what things do. So I'm reading everybody's cards, but somehow I failed upward. I don't know how.
It was fun. People were like, "Man, he beat me." And I'm like, okay, good, I guess. I don't know what to tell you.
And I didn't even want to be there after like the first round because I was so hungry, and I kept telling everybody, "I'm so hungry. I just want to lose so I can go eat something." And then it just kept going and going and going, and then we didn't end up eating for like 6-7 hours after, which was.
We did get pretty good food after though. We went to, was it Butcher, that sandwich shop?
No, we went to Napoleon House.
Was that that was the Napoleon House? Okay.
Anyway, I had a lot of fun, and I appreciated you running that tournament. You brought a lot of people together, and it was great. And then I had your you signed an Oddish card for me, 2 of them actually, which is great.
Yes.
So nice. So we were going to record last week. I was staying at a friend's house in New Orleans after the tournament. I was hanging out with her and her family, and my laptop decided that it didn't want to cooperate with the streaming. It was pretty hot and it was overheating. So we have to go over actually 2 weeks of news this week, but I think we're going to start with the latest news first. So why don't we
work our way backward?
Yeah, let's work our way backwards. So should we start with Voltorb? Did you see this yet?
Let's start with Voltorb. I did see this. So at NAIC last weekend, there were 2 professor program stamped Voltorb given out to staff members. One, as you can see here, with the just a regular reverse holo with the professor program stamp. But the second one has this Cosmos holofoil. It's a Cosmos reverse holofoil, which we have not seen too often actually lately. And it also has the professor program stamp. But the catch is that these are both incredibly rare, with this second one being, I'll get to it actually. So let me just get into this story. So in 2022, the professor program rolled out these drills called Voltorb drills at large tournaments, and therefore the staff. So what happens is a mentor that leads like the TCG division, the video game division, the Pokemon Go division, whatever, goes out onto the floor and comes up to a regular staff member and tries to quiz them on like tournament procedures. Like if you're the TCG mentor, you go out to maybe a judge on the floor and try to quiz them on what they should do in a certain situation if a player makes like an irreversible gameplay decision. So these mentors go out and basically test people. So they're learning exercises, and after the mentor approaches these, their staff members, they give them this Voltorb card. So since in 2023 and 2024, they gave out this Voltorb from Paldea Evolved. It's just a regular reverse holo with the professor program stamp. It goes for a couple $100 on eBay right now. But at NAIC last weekend, they gave out the reverse holo Voltorb from 151 to the floor staff. Only 100 to 120 were given out, and it's from 151, which so many people are trying to get a master set of. So this Voltorb, there were only 120 copies given out. So it's going to be incredibly hard for master set collectors to do their 151 set if they're trying to do this Voltorb. But if you're crying over that as a master set collector, you're going to be especially crying because the Cosmos holofoil version was only given to the 12 mentors. So there are only 12 copies of this card that are currently in circulation. And that makes it one of the rarest English cards ever released and the rarest Voltorb ever released. So the
both of these Voltorb are going to be given out again at future events, I imagine, like Worlds and other international championships. So this Voltorb it'll be difficult to get, but not impossible. But the reverse holo version with the Cosmos holofoil, I can't even imagine how rare that's going to be. Because if you've got like, I don't know, 5 NAICs, 6 NAICs, what is that? That's what, like 70, 60 of them out there in circulation. And those mentors are very unlikely to give them up. So I think this is a great way to pay the staff, and I think that whoever came up with this in the professor program should be applauded, because this is a nice memento to give out to staff members, keep them on their feet on the tournament floor, and they can sell it for a lot of money and make money that way. So I like this idea, but I feel bad for the master set collectors, because good luck getting this one. What do you think?
I mean, I like it. I'm glad I don't collect Voltorb. That's what I'm thinking right now. I'm glad I don't collect Voltorb.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anyone who would collect just Voltorb, but I know that 151 master set collectors are a big thing. Like, you see them comment on PokeBeach articles a lot and on social media. So people really like collecting all the cards from 151, like the Squirtle Pokemon Center stamp and the Best Buy, Charmander and, all those. So this is going to be heartbreaking for a lot of them, because I don't think they're going to be able to get these easily. And if they are, they're going to be quite expensive. So anyway, so I guess that's that news story. Like I said, they should be given out again at Worlds and future international championships. So we'll see what happens there. All right. Do we want to talk about Pokemon TCG Live?
Let's talk about Slowking and Slowpoke.
So should we go through Stellar Miracle? No, let's do Stellar Miracle at the end. We'll do all of them. How about that?
Okay.
Let's just get through them.
All right.
So, Justin Basil's favorite program, Pokemon TCG Live, had its first year of stats released. TPCI released a little video that explained, or that revealed, that the game has had 60 million games played since it launched officially a year ago. So since its first year anniversary, 60 million games played, 61 billion damage dealt, 141 million cards sent to the Lost Zone, and 2.8 million Bidoof were knocked out. So they didn't reveal how many times the game's been downloaded, but the 60 million games were played number kind of intrigued me. So I went to look up how Yu-Gi-Oh's official simulator did in its first year. Their simulator is called Master Duel. And Konami reported on the first year anniversary of the game that theirs had received 2.1 billion games played and more than 50 million downloads. This was in 2022. So 60 million games played on Pokemon TCG Live versus 2.1 billion games played on Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. That means Pokemon TCG Live only had 3% of the amount games played that Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel saw. And there were some comments saying like, well, Pokemon TCG games go a bit longer than Master Duel, but like, even if you multiply this number by, let's say, like 3 times, it's still nowhere, it doesn't scratch Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel at all. So,
well, no, and I don't think it's ever going to. For the first part, Yu-Gi-Oh! is first and foremost a player's game. Mm-hmm. The bulk of the cards that sell for that game are for players, right, not for collectors. There are obviously collectors of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game. And that's not going to be a thing ever. But by and large, the people who buy the cards for Yu-Gi-Oh! They're players.
Yeah.
And that's not the case for Pokemon. The bulk of the people who buy Pokemon cards are not players. No. They are collectors. They're people who like the shiny cardboard. They like such and such Pokemon, and that's what they're going to do. And then, so you take that element where you're looking at maybe 5 to 10% of the people that buy Pokemon cards are actually players, and then you multiply that by people who would be willing to play online, which is already a fraction of what you'd start. So you're already going lower. And then you make it even worse when you introduce the fact that PTCG Live is still, after over a year after leaving beta, a buggy mess that consistently has issues with releases. Not to the same degree it used to, admittedly, but it still has issues. And then people are just very unwilling to play this game on this client that basically has almost nothing going for it other than the fact that it's free. And you can kind of see why people aren't investing their time into this game.
Yeah, some of the commenters I was reading on the forum thread brought up that you can only really do 2 battles a day in PTCG Live to earn anything, and then after that, there's really nothing to do. That's the case, right?
Well, I mean, you can play games. It doesn't really matter. You climb the ladder however fast you climb the ladder. The issue is that the game glitches out constantly. It won't count knockouts, or it won't acknowledge you've completed some daily quest. You have 2 daily quests a day is what you have, is what they're referring to. And that helps you with, but you can still climb the ladder. The problem is there's really nothing outside of that once you've achieved whatever your goal is for that ladder rank for whatever ladder you're on. So for right now, Twilight Masquerade, once you get to top of the ladder, you're basically just done. You have nothing to do. There's no incentive to do anything, and that's assuming you even want to go all the way up there. TCG Live, you at least had tournament battles you could participate in, where you jump really quickly into tournaments that were built into the client.
PTCGL
with PTCGL, yeah. With online. The problem is Live doesn't have anything of that sort. So if you want to participate in a tournament, you have to go to something like the Limitless online tournament platform. Shout out to Limitless because they're awesome. But you would have to use that in order to participate in any sort of tournament. And then to make things worse, the crap you have to do just to get the client to actually work with a friendly battle on there is annoying. So you would have to restart your client, add them, restart the client, and get it actually start the game. There's all sorts of jank you have to do just to make it so you can actually play the game in a tournament setting, even through something like Limitless. It's just it's buggy, and hopefully it will get better. But at this point, I've stopped caring.
It's like a chicken and an egg thing for me. It's like, I feel like Pokemon didn't put a lot of money into this client because there aren't that many competitive players. Or sorry, it's like, is it that they didn't put a lot of money into this because they know there's not a lot of competitive players? Or is it that the game is so buggy that people just don't want to play it? Or is it both? So for me, all I've heard, I haven't even tried this client because I just hear so much negativity about it. And if it had gone off, if it had a stronger start and a year later was doing even better, I would be more inclined to play it. But people just complain about it constantly. So I'm just like, well, why should I even try it? So I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because it's not a priority to them because it doesn't make them a lot of money. I don't know.
I think part of it was they didn't have, and I hate to slide the developers on here, but I think it's probably warranted. The developers they originally had on, I don't think knew what they were doing. And you can see that in the way that they've had to pivot over the last couple of years and how they approach development. I know they had a bit of a cleaning of house in terms of the development team. They had job postings fairly recently within the last year or so for a new head developer, for new developers on the project. So they've definitely had to pick up the pieces from where the previous developers were. And they have made progress. They have definitely, the app loads a lot faster on iOS and on desktop in general. The animations are much faster now. They have made improvements, but that should have been something that was just already good, and that shouldn't have been an issue. What's making things work?
I don't remember PTCGO having so many issues with it when it first launched. So sorry, go ahead.
It wasn't perfect either. I don't know if it was necessarily as bad. The thing that's even worse too is TCG Live has sold itself on being correct with regard to card rulings and card interactions. That was one of the big things it advertised when they first announced it, and it still gets rulings wrong constantly. One of the biggest ones, of course, recently with regard to Inteleon VMAX and discarding the double the Rapid Strike Energy with regard to how it interacts with Duraludon VMAX. So Duraludon VMAX would still block it, but Live doesn't block it. And then annoying. How Greninja, when you discard the double turbo energy, it still does get their damage reduction, or supposed to. That's not the case on Live. And there are lots of situations like that where it's not calculating damage correctly, or it's not correctly using game rules to determine what's happening, and you can tell. And if you're a judge, you're rolling your eyes because you have people going, well, it works on Live, and yeah, it does, but Live is also wrong. And you can't just be like, well, I know this official client client that Pokemon has put out does it this way, but that official client does it incorrectly.
Yeah, that doesn't give me any confidence in using it. Like if it's not even getting basic rulings right, like I wouldn't want to play that. I did see some people mention in the comments that they've like lost games because it's not doing certain rulings correctly. So that just doesn't make me want to even try using it. But we do have Pokemon TCG Pocket coming out later this year. It's supposed to be a lighter version of the Pokemon TCG. And I covered this in a previous article, but I think that Pokemon TCG Pocket is going to ultimately eclipse Live based on what we've seen from Yu-Gi-Oh! And what kind of the Pokemon Company is doing to emulate them, where Yu-Gi-Oh! Has like this light app, and so does Marvel. They have like these light trading card game apps where you collect cards and just battle them with very basic mechanics. And then Yu-Gi-Oh! Also has their Master Duel, which is the full fleshed out version of the game. So I think that Pokemon TCG Pocket should be very popular when it eventually comes out, because people want to collect digital versions of the cards, and casual fans do. So I think it's going to take off. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think Pocket will be fine, but it's a very different beast.
Yeah, it's gonna.
So we'll see how the world responds to it.
All right, let's go to our next story, which would be. Let's talk about
Paradox Destiny's tins.
Oh, you want to do that one? All right, let's do this real quick. So there's going to be new Paradox Destiny tins releasing on September 6th for $26.99 each, featuring 4 Paradox Pokemon: Iron Crown, Iron Boulder, Raging Bolt, and Gouging Fire, all with new artwork that we haven't seen in Japan yet. Presumably, these will come from their annual high-class pack set at the end of the year, expected to come out in December. So I'm kind of thinking that because we've gotten a lot of art reveals that haven't released in Japan yet over the last year, so I think they're already disassembling that annual end of the year set that'll eventually come out and giving it to us in English, which tells me that I don't know what that tells me. Maybe we're gonna get the Rocket set earlier than we thought. I don't know.
Earlier than I thought. Exactly when you thought. We'll see.
We'll see. What do you think of making these cards more available to players? Like, were these good selections?
I think it's always good to make them more available. I think Iron Crown and Raging Bolt are probably the most likely to actually see the attraction. I know obviously Gouging Fire sees a little bit of play. Iron Boulder doesn't see much of any, but I mean, it's nice that they're there.
Mm. And again, these these tins will release on September 6th for $26.99 each. I still can't get over that name, Twin Shottles. It just sounds. Remember we talked about that in that episode when they were when it was revealed, Shottles.
So I know it's not news, but I want to highlight an article on the website that people should absolutely read. So Alex Cook wrote the Ultimate Pass Format Guide, and it is a huge article that, if I'm not mistaken, at one point actually brought the website down.
It crashed the website for a day, but it wasn't because of. It was related to his article, but it was a technical issue. But it was triggered by the article. But yeah,
it was triggered by the article. It was like, whoa, okay. But it's a huge article, lots of great information, lots of extremely awesome formats here. My personal favorite, of course, is from 2018, the Sun and Moon Lost Thunder format here. But there's a whole bunch of information, formats going all the way back to like 2004-ish era. There's just so many really, really great formats in here. And then I really appreciate too, in his article, most of the articles, he provides like a gauntlet of decks. And a lot of the times it's like 12 to 18 decks that you can jump in. And then Sun and Moon Lost Thunder's 32 decks.
Yeah,
it's like, fun. Oh yeah, it's one of those formats where it's really, really awesome variety in decks. And it's just really good to see. And it's like, you appreciate, it's like, oh yes, that's right. That format was actually that varied and very rich. Yeah, and there are, of course, obviously other awesome formats in here like 2010, 2006, 2004. There's a lot of great information in here to dive through. And my cat has decided that he wanted to chime in too.
Oh,
so
I see him right behind you. Is that Iro?
That is indeed Iro. He is the loud orange one that occasionally decides he needs to involve himself in the podcast.
Oh, he's so cute. Just let him hang out. Yeah, so check out this article. It's free and it goes over a ton of information. So yeah, it's a lot of work he put into this. All right. Our next bit of news is the Illustrator contest. So last week while we were at NAIC, they revealed the top 300 entries that they picked for 2024's illustration contest. 3 of the illustrations are going to be turned into promos, including 1 Pokemon EX, 1 regular artwork, and then 1 of either artwork. So ultimately, we're going to get 3 promos of these. The winners will be announced in September. However, and I didn't even know this when I first posted this article because I do not have a trained eye, it appears that there was some... my email just went off. It appears that AI was used to generate some of these artwork pieces, as was discussed on social media and PokeBeach's comments when the top 300 were revealed. And on top of that, 6 of the entries appear to come from the same person, not confirmed, but I mean, it's got the same VK initial for each of these entries. So it just seems like, and these are the entries that are also being accused of using AI. So it seems like there was a bad actor here that submitted.
So it's worth noting, these are not the only entries that were accused of using AI. There are several others.
Yeah.
But the fact that 6 of this entrance pieces, if you want to call them that, made it into the top 300 makes me wonder how many they entered in the first place, because I suspect it was probably quite a few more than 6.
Exactly. Because you're only allowed to submit 3 and 6 of theirs got in. So they might have submitted, for all we know, 12, who knows, under different names. I just want to say one thing though, like, I'm going to defend Pokemon a little bit here because AI image generation wasn't really in the public consciousness up until like the end of last year. And the pieces for this contest started being submitted in, I think it was, what did I say? September, October. So there was some, I'm giving them a little bit of leeway here because the image generation wasn't really a known public consciousness thing until a few months into this contest. My dad's calling me. Hang up. So I'm going to give them a pass on that. But what I don't think is excusable is that very clearly somebody submitted multiple entries, this VK person. I feel like that should have drawn their suspicion a bit. And another thing that I thought, it's a really nitpicky thing to point out, but they stated that this contest saw 10,830 entries, and that's the exact same number that was submitted for 2022's contest 2 years ago. So that tells me that for some reason this time around, Pokemon was being really sloppy with this contest. Because, you know, Japan, they don't really make a lot of mistakes like this where they're repeating the same number here. So with the VKs getting through and the AI and the 10,830 entries being the same number, it just seems to me like there was some sloppiness on Pokemon's part here for this contest. But let's get into the evidence real quick. So the piece that got the most attention was this Pikachu here standing in a stadium. One of our commenters, Q Quacken24, explained, the Pikachu Stadium piece is the most telling one. The background and the audience have an unusual blurry abstraction. AI images are not smart enough to generate clear or detailed backgrounds. Humans can wrap our brains around what backgrounds are supposed to be and make clearer environments. So he's talking about like these audience members being blobs. And then the next commenter, 4th Star TCG, stated, as with most AI art, the background is the giveaway. The lights on the stadium are all different sizes with weird angles and no real coherence to their organization. The paneling above the lights is composed of multiple jagged shapes with no pattern or relation between each one. So you can see what they're talking about here. These lights are all at like different angles. The panels above them right here, supposedly the windows, are very oddly placed, different shapes. This area up here. So there's just some strangeness going on with this piece. So it looks like there was some AI involved here. And then they're also, again, pointing out that the audience members look odd. And then another thing that was pointed out was that this Eevee here, which I thought this was my favorite illustration when I first posted this story. I think I used this as the featured image. I didn't even notice this, but the Vaporeon in the background is clearly not a different is clearly a different style than the Eevee here. You can see this Vaporeon just does not match stylistically with this Eevee. And it turns out that there's a very similar Vaporeon that was drawn by an artist, a fan artist named La Pumpkin, and she has publicly accused this illustrator, Vision K, of stealing her artwork. So it seems like they did probably do some shenanigans here, because the style just does not look the same at all. So, and then the same thing happens here with yet another illustration from a VK person. They have a Vaporeon in the background that does not match the Eevee, the centerpiece of the artwork. And the Vaporeon is also like at this weird perspective here on this rock where it should be like a lot smaller. So, that's what's going on. So, let's see, is there anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping that all these AI entries get dumped in the next round. That way we at least have, people who actually put effort into these pieces. So yeah, coming ahead and making the winners.
I said that too in the article. I said that I think what Pokemon, I don't think they're going to comment on this publicly, because you can't really prove 100% that they used AI, and that could also incite a witch hunt against these artists, which could put Pokemon into like some, wishy-washy territory. So I think, like you said, Pokemon's just going to discard the suspicious entries in the next round, and then maybe update their rules for the next contest to talk about using AI. Some people said in the comments that like maybe Pokemon should require artists to submit like video of them working on the piece. I don't know. I'm not an artist.
Just works in progress in general. I mean, if you're in the middle of drawing or coloring in an illustration you're working on, you're going to you'll be able to provide rather works in progress. I mean, it's not that difficult to do. You've taken the effort and taken the time to color in this or paint this painting on Illustrator or whatever you're using. You're going to have it. Like you can save off the images and go, here, look, this was my 4 hours in, this was my 20 hours in, this was my 30 hours in, whatever amount you need to provide to Pokemon to make it obvious.
What's going to suck though is that's going to make their Pokemon's job take a lot longer and be a lot harder. And I don't know if, I don't know. Well, I hope we're going to continue with these contests, but yeah, I don't know. So we said before that 6 entries might have been robbed of some spotlight. So here's some illustrations that you liked and that I also liked. So we put them here in the story. These did not make the cut, but artists on Twitter shared them. Here's one from Carrie Bird, which is my favorite. It's a Flygon with like this, what is it? Like that felt stuff. It's a Flygon.
The felting style, yeah.
It's a Flygon with a Trapinch on top with Swellow in the background. I kind of think this one didn't, I was thinking that this one didn't make it because it doesn't really follow the theme. The theme was supposed to be like showing Pokemon in like magical or like in a magical environment or being magical or something. To me, this is just like a Flygon flying in the clouds, which I mean, I really appreciate. This is my favorite piece, but I don't think it followed the theme maybe, which could be why it wasn't included. Because you also have to remember, like, if you're an artist working for the Pokemon company, you have to be able to like take instruction and follow the kind of things they're looking for the sets they're producing. Same thing in the film world. Like I come from the film world. I write and direct, and you might have really good actors, but if they can't follow instructions, then they're not going to be able to like go for the sort of theme or feeling that you want. So maybe that's why this one was not included. I don't know. And then I love this Toxtricity here. And this Eevee is absolutely beautiful. But I think the reason... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you already know why. It's
you say it. I'm talking
engraving.
Too much.
It's the engraving of the ancient Mew in that background that really sets it over the top. Like, it's already very cute. The Eevee's obviously like very like, that big curious eyes kind of thing. But just that ancient Mew engraving in the background is just what really puts it over the top for me.
I think also that what I was thinking actually was that it's a legal thing because another artist came up with this Ancient Mew. So I think maybe legally it could be, I don't know, it could be some rights thing. Like they're not allowed to use another artist's work in their image. I don't know. But yeah, it also could be over the top. And this is sort of making reference to the, I also thought this Eevee was making reference to the, what was it? The Neophile Premium 2, I think. The one that came with the, what was it? The one that came with the Reverse Holo Charizard, Pichu, Entei. Or I guess it could also be a reference to Neo Discovery, that like unknown artwork that released with the set. I don't know what I'm saying. Do you know what I'm talking about? My brain's a jumble.
Vaguely, but not enough to talk about it.
So I just think that maybe this is referencing too many other people's work legally, and maybe that's why it wasn't picked. I don't know. Although you said Justin Basil, who's just gotten up from his chair, that maybe it was just too over the top with its references.
Sorry, I had to throw a cat out of the room because he was throwing a tantrum.
So, yeah. So as I said, the 3 winning artists will be announced in September. There'll be 1 standard illustration rare winner, 1 Pokemon EX winner, and 1 grand prize winner of either style. All 3 will be turned into real promo cards. So we will continue to get more updates about this story because they're going to have to nail it. What is it? What's the word? Cut it down. They're going to have to narrow it down.
Yeah, have to cut it down.
To like,
that's the word you're looking
narrow
for.
it down to, I don't know, what is it? Like 50 or something at some point. So we'll
yeah, it's going to get real cool. I'm excited to see what ends up winning.
Yeah, and we'll see if they discard all of these. So
I hope so.
We'll see. All right, our next story is okay. There is going to be on August 2nd, there's going to be a new special set Pokemon Horizons, the series blister pack releasing in Taiwan and Hong Kong to promote the debut of the Pokemon Horizons anime and Stellar Miracle, both of which will release in both countries on the same day. So as you can see here, it's going to come with 10 booster packs of Stellar Miracle in simplified Chinese, as well as 3 promo cards, a jumbo Terapagos and Friends, a reprint of Sprigatito from Scarlet and Violet with new artwork, and Fuecoco from, I forgot what set, with new artwork. And all of these artworks feature Pokemon and characters from the Pokemon Horizons anime. So here's Liko with Sprigatito, here's Roy with Fuecoco, and here's the Rising Volt Tacklers with Terapagos here. We haven't had too many anime Pokemon promos in the past. We have had a few. I pointed out in the story we had Ash's Trico, May's Torchic, and Brock's Mudkip. I think it was for the Jirachi movie. We
don't seem to often get these here outside of Asia, though.
No, we don't. We don't. And and I think also a reason that the reason again that they don't release them that often, even in Japan, is because it's a rights thing. Because this is the Pokemon anime, which is owned by different companies. I mean, including Pokemon, but includes different companies. So I don't know if that's part of the reason or not. But this will retail for $15 in Hong Kong and Taiwan. Again, these cards are in simplified Chinese, not Japanese. We don't know if they're going to come to Japan or America. I don't think America is really a contender, but maybe Japan at some point. I don't know. And I also forgot to mention that all 3 cards were illustrated by these 2 artists here, who are both animators in the Pokemon anime, and one of them was also the character designers. So they got the character designer to draw these, which is cool. But yeah, I remember these Trico, Torchic, and Mudkip promos. I wrote a news story about these 3 cards 21 years ago. It was one of the first news stories I wrote for the website. So I was like, little nostalgic for that. August 2nd, 2003 is when I wrote it. But yeah, these are cool. The Terapagos and Friends is a really powerful card, but it is a jumbo card, so you can't play it. And it also has no regulation mark. I saw some people saying this card is really broken and why did they print it? But you can't play the card. It does 100 times damage for each of your Pokemon in play for 4 colorless, which is, going to be like, 600 damage? But that's 600 damage at most, but you can't play it, so It's just a jumbo card with over-the-top effect, as they usually tend to have. Anything else to say about that?
No, not in particular. Like, they're cool, and people who really love like Liko and Roy are gonna really love those cards. But I think otherwise, it's gonna be just another thing to have.
Yeah. Let's before we get into Stellar Miracle, let's talk about the Halloween products and the Pokemon Go in China. Oh no, there's a couple things we have to talk about. Okay, so there's going to be there's going to be 2 Halloween products releasing. The first is a Dark Powers EX Special Collection on August 30th for $29.99. It'll come with just straight up reprints of Gengar EX and Absol EX, as well as a jumbo card of Banette EX. It'll come with 5 booster packs and a code card, and it'll have double-sided packaging, as you can see here. Here's the front with the Gengar EX and Jumbo Banette. Here's the back with the Absol EX. That's one of the Halloween products. The second one is the next set of Trick or Trade booster bundles. This year's will hit store shelves on August 30th. This time around, it'll come with 35 booster packs for $14.99. Each booster pack has 3 cards. And this is 5 less booster packs than last year's, but also $5 cheaper. So we don't know what cards are going to come in it yet, but it does have Gengar, Trevenant, Umbreon, and Pikachu on the front. So presumably those will be 4 of the 30-ish cards that we'll get in this. Anything you want to say about this?
No, it's just a little fun thing to get kids a little bit of Halloween joy basically every year. I appreciate them for what they are. I
wonder if they're going to be Cosmos holofoil this time. That would be really cool.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
That would make them a lot more sought after.
I could have sworn that like when I got the first set of these when they first came out in 2020 or something, I felt like the cards were really flimsy on them, like they were cheaper. So I don't know if this is meant to be like a sort of cheapish product, so maybe they won't use Cosmos. I don't know, but that would be a nice surprise if they do. All right, next story is what is it? No, I just lost the page. Okay. Let's go over this real quick. While we were at NAIC, Pokemon revealed the Paradise Resort promo for Worlds 2024. Features different artwork, obviously. Pikachu, Alolan Raichu, how do you say it? Goldengo?
Goldango.
Sorry. Goldango. Alolan Executor, Mantine, and others. And then they also revealed the Snorkeling Pikachu plush that'll be sold at the venue. So, yeah. I will be at Worlds this...
Yeah, like, it's not a good card, but it's not supposed to be a good card. So, it's a trophy card is what it is, so it's fine.
Mm-hmm. And we used to have... what was the one before? I'm trying to remember. The Tropical Beach?
Champions Festival and then Tropical Beach.
Those cards were... Tropical Beach, I think, was what people wanted to actually use in their decks, but that was a little unfair.
Yeah.
So
Tropical Beach is extremely, extremely good, and expanded and in GLC. It's a very, very good card, and it was great in Standard when it was legal in Standard.
And this Paradise Resort will be given out to competitors, obviously staff as well. But last year at Worlds, you were able to win this in side events too if you earned enough points, I think. So I think this will also be available in side events. I'll check when I go. I'll be at Worlds, so I'll try to report on what I can and check when I go.
I'm excited for the Worlds reveals, but
the Worlds reveals?
See what they reveal.
Oh, you mean the news?
They always reveal stuff at Worlds, yeah.
Yeah,
the news.
I still think it's going to be Mega Pokemon EX, but could also be Team Rocket as well.
We'll
see.
All of China's exclusive Pokemon Go cards, yay!
So, was this a follow-up? Did we talk about this in a previous? Yeah, this was a follow-up.
We talked a little bit about when we first discovered the existence of these unique cards. There was a little bit of a story there, but now we've gotten all of them. We see the new cards.
So I posted before that China's next compilation set called Brave Stars, releasing on June 18th, would come with some exclusive Pokemon Go cards that have different artwork that are not seen in the rest of the world. And now we know that there are exactly 14 of them in that set that have new artwork. And you can see them right here. Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur, Radiant Venusaur. The Charizard line, of course, Slowpoke, Slowbro, Alolan Raticate, Rattata, Radiant Eevee, Snorlax, B-Barrel. So all of these are getting new art. China's sets are compilation sets, so they don't always release all the cards at the same time. So we are probably going to get more of these Pokemon Go cards in future sets, or China may just not release some of them. Like the, what is it? The Pokestop? They'll probably, I don't know if they're going to release that because that has a Pokemon Go location in it, and Pokemon Go is banned in China. So they might skip that card entirely, as well as other cards from the set.
I don't think they can skip Pokestop. They might have to release it under a different name or something if they're trying to avoid the rights from Niantic.
Were those?
Because Pokestop sees quite a lot of play. It would be a problem if it didn't come out.
Yeah, so maybe they'll do something exclusive for that. We'll see. But China has not released several cards before, actually. So it wouldn't surprise me if they end up cutting some of these, including that one. But we'll see. I mean, they do have a different format, so maybe it's okay if they don't get it. I don't know. But it remains to be seen. Now, also going off that theory before that it was a legality issue with Niantic or showing the Niantic copyright, some of the cards in the set, including Mewtwo V, V-Star, Conkeldurr V, Melmetal V and VMAX, and Slacking V, all of them retain their original artwork, and those cards did not originally have the Niantic copyright. So that tells you that that's most likely the reason for why these are not, for why these are releasing exactly the same in China, and the rest of the other cards that did have the Niantic copyright are releasing with new artwork. So it's some sort of legality copyright thing. But yeah, so we'll see if more Pokemon Go cards release there with unique artwork. But if you are a collector who wants to have these, you're going to have to probably go on eBay to get them, or have a friend in China. I don't know. But yeah. So
they exist. They're cool.
Exactly. I actually like some of the artwork better, like the Ivysaur. I like when they make Ivysaur kind of bluish.
I do think the Bulbasaur looks a little derpy, but
kind of the same as the other one, though, isn't it? Kind of like the same.
Not quite.
No. Let me see. What other artworks did I like? Yeah, whatever. All right, let's move on to our next story.
Yeah.
So I think now would be the cards from the new reveals from Stellar Miracle. So let's start with Slowpoke and Slowking.
So Slowking has an attack called Inspirational Challenge that is for Psychic and Colorless. It says discard the top card of your deck. If that card is a Pokemon card without a rule box, choose one of that Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. This is very similar to Alakazam Star from way back when, where you would discard a Pokemon from your hand to do the similar effect. But this is you're forcing you to put on top of the deck. You can use something like Knight Academy to put a card on top of the deck, and then use this as an attack. And you can get some cool attacks off in this way with like a toolboxy style deck. What? And then it has Super Psybolt for 3 energy that does 120 damage.
What is that stadium that lets you... is there a card that lets you put a card on top of your deck or something?
Knight Academy, the one I mentioned a few minutes ago. Or a moment ago.
Oh, did you just say that in your explanation?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to read
I totally did.
I was trying to read the card.
Yeah.
My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, you rig it with Knight Academy. But yeah, and then the Slowpoke illustration is exceptionally derpy.
The thing you just explained.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a card like that?
Yes, that thing I talked about. That's a thing that exists. But yeah, the Slowpoke illustration is especially derpy.
I was gonna say, I think this is the first time we've seen a Slowpoke underwater in a card, and which is especially funny because it's a psychic card. But yeah, he looks funny there.
Slowking is liable to do some cool shenanigans. We'll see what it ends up doing.
What was the other stuff?
So there was a Vikavolt from Stellar Miracle. So Vikavolt itself, I actually don't think is that good. Ironically,
what is the
card we want to talk about?
What does the Vika come from? In the name?
No idea, but it is Vikavolt.
Did they say that in the anime?
Yes, I do.
I was saying Vika like Pika. What is Vika? We'll have to look that up after. Okay, sorry.
Let's look it up. But So Chargebug is the one that we're actually caring about here. Chargebug is another Mirage Step. It is another Water Duplicates attack. If you're familiar with either of those, you're going to go, oh, cool. So Chargebug's parallel lineup for single lightning energy. Search your deck for up to 3 Chargebug and put them onto your bench. Then shuffle your deck. And there is another Vikavolt from a prior set that does damage based on the number of Chargebug you have in play. So that seems pretty good for that particular deck. You can run it with something like Neo Upper Energy and just do some crazy shenanigans in terms of damage, because the multiplier on that other Vikavolt attack is quite high. I think it's like 80 times if I'm not mistaken. This Vikavolt just has Volt Switch, which does 90 damage, and then you switch this Pokemon with one of your bench lightning Pokemon, and then it has another attack that does a little bit more damage. But ultimately, this Vikavolt isn't that interesting. But the Chargebug is interesting.
All right, and then we had Caracosta and Antique Cover Fossil.
Caracosta has the ability Primal Knowledge. Your Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active evolution Pokemon before applying weakness and resistance, and then Tidal Wave does 150 damage. This I don't think is that good, frankly. It's a stage 2 that requires a fossil to get it out. It's only doing 30 more damage, so like the one deck that could theoretically get this out without having to use a fossil is Kingdra EX, and Kingdra doesn't want this either, because there are just other ways for it to do more damage, like attaching another energy. So it's just not that good, unfortunately. And then the Antique Cover Fossil is vaguely interesting. It has built-in bench barrier. I mean, it's I like Caracosta as a Pokemon. I don't think it's that good as a card, but it'll be something for collectors who collect Caracosta.
Pretty artwork of Tiratoga. Okay, what else? Oh, yeah. Oh, we got this one.
The main reveal.
I forgot about this. Was this when we were at NAIC? I don't remember. Yeah, it was.
This was the first. This is the second batch of big reveals. This was while we were at NAIC, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had some fun ones. So we have Applin and Diplin. They're not really any too crazy. Diplin does have a way to make it protected. Hydrapple has the ability Ripe Charge. Once during your turn, you may attach a basic grass energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. If you do, heal 30 damage from that Pokemon. So you're doing a little bit of healing, which isn't too bad. It's only 30, but that could make a difference between a knockout and not. And then Syrup Storm does 30 plus damage. This attack does 30 more damage for each grass energy attached to your Pokemon. So you're kind of pooling energy around. You could probably pair this up with Teal Mask, Ogerpon EX to get some extra energy in play and then do a bunch of damage. You have 330 HP, so you have a decent amount of bulk too. And you can pair this up. You can also pair this up with like Kricketune from, I think it's either Astral Radiance or Lost Origin, that makes you have extra HP as a grass type. We have the official reveal of Lapras EX, which has the attack Power Splash for a single water energy, which does 40 times damage. This attack does 40 damage for each energy attached to this Pokemon. And then for Water Psychic Metal does Laramarain. Look at the top 20 cards of your deck and attach any number of energy cards you find there to your Pokemon in any way you like. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck. So you're just basically taking up over a third of your deck by the time you're actually using this and throwing all the energy out of your deck to wherever you want them.
Do you think this is going to see play? Or is the cost against it?
I mean, they've incorporated some ways to make that maybe possible, but it's a stiff cost. So maybe, but maybe not. We have Dreadnought. Dreadnought has an ability here that says, if an attack from your opponent's Pokemon would do 200 or more damage to this Pokemon, prevent that damage. And then for 3 colorless energy, it has Hard Crunch, which does 80 plus damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon already has any damage counters on it, this attack does 80 more damage. So you're doing 160 for 3 energy. I don't think it's that good, to be honest. And then Salazzle is kind of crazy. So Salazzle has Sudden Burn for 2 colorless energy. Your opponent discards a card from their hand. If this Pokemon evolved from Salandit during this turn, they discard 2 more cards. That does not seem that difficult to pull off, even in standard format, which is a little scary, frankly. You're going to just kind of hand control your opponent down to nothing for not that much effort. And there is Duraludon and Archaludon. Archaludon has Steel Bridge, which has the effect your Pokemon in play with any metal energy attached to them have no retreat cost. This is very similar to Zeraora GX's, I believe it's Thunderclap Zone, and Darkrai EX's, I can't remember its ability's name, but they all do the same kind of thing. You're basically getting free retreat for Pokemon if they have the specific energy type on them. And then Iron Blaster does 160 for 2 metal and a colorless. And then the cool trainer cards are the ones we want to talk about. Glass Trumpet. Glass Trumpet says you can only play this card if you have a Terra Pokemon in play. Choose up to 2 of your benched colorless Pokemon and attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to each of them. This is some crazy acceleration, and I'm very interested to see what ends up making use of it. But it's very interesting as an item card. And then we have Briar, which is our supporter here, says, you can only play this card if your opponent has exactly 2 prize cards remaining. Until the end of this turn, your opponent's active Pokemon, if your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from one of your Terra Pokemon's attacks, take an additional prize card. People were losing their minds over this card because anytime a card says to take another prize card, they get that little bit of PTSD from the ADPZ era where it was always take an additional prize card, take an additional prize card, that whole boss game mentality. And so I do understand the fear of a card like this in the format. And I don't especially love this, or for that matter, Iron Hands EX in the format, but they do exist and they're going to be played. So here it is.
She's going to get the waifu card here with the effect. So she's going to go for a lot.
Very probably. Yeah.
All right. And then you said there was another batch? I don't remember.
I don't know if it was after our last episode or not.
No, that was the last batch. Okay, cool.
No, it was before. So we are all caught up. That is the last of those reveals.
The last 2 weeks of news. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Yeah, so what's coming up this coming week? I don't know if there's any big news coming out. We're not getting Stellar Miracle.
I can't think of anything.
Oh, we might get maybe the Stellar Crown English reveal. It'll either be this coming week or the next, I think.
It's very likely that it's going to be this next week, which is cool to see.
So yeah, Stellar Crown should be revealed this coming week or the following week. We'll see. So I think that's... Oh, what happened with your mic? Did it turn off?
I shut it off because my alarm's going off because I have to go.
Oh, you have to go. Well... it was really fun hanging out with you at NEIC, and we'll have to do it again next year. Maybe we'll see each other at another event before then, but that was one of the most fun times I've had in recent years. So,
yeah, NEIC is always a blast, and I look forward to it every year. And then if there's a San Antonio Regionals this next year, and the rumor has it there is going to be, then maybe we'll see each other there too.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I'm down. All right. Well, we will see you all next week. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and spread the podcast to other people if they're interested in Pokemon TCG news. All right. We will see you all. Have a good week. Bye.